Hello students, in this tutorial we'll be studying the concept of replication of DNA. As you can see in the slide, there are three models proposed for replication of DNA: conservative, semi-conservative and dispersive model. According to the conservative model, the DNA helix, the parent DNA helix will produce two daughter DNA helices, one entirely old and one entirely new. According to the semi-conservative model, the parental helix will produce two daughter DNA helices, but each daughter DNA helix will have an old parental strand and a new daughter DNA strand. And according to the dispersive model, the it believes that the parental DNA helix will fragment, or it will break into smaller parts, and each fragment or part will act as as a template and synthesize a new daughter DNA strand. So the resultant daughter helices are hybrids of the old and the new DNA. So which of these three models is accepted? According to Watson and Crick, they observed, or they hypothesized, that DNA replication should follow the semi conservative model. And the proof that it is indeed semi conservative came from scientists such as Messelson and Stahl. Their famous experiment proved that DNA replication does take place semi conservatively. So, what about the other two models? Due to lack of evidence, the dispersive model and the conservative model are not accepted. Whereas this model has plenty of evidence, first by Messelson and Stahl, and later on by scientists such as Taylor et al., who used faba beams and radioactive thymidine and proved that DNA replication is indeed semi conservative. So, what is Messelson and Stahl experiment? We have to know this experiment, what they did. They worked with E. coli bacteria. In the first case, what they did was they grew E. coli bacteria in an N15 medium. That means they provided the bacteria N15 or nitrogen 15, which is the heavy isotope of nitrogen, as nutrient. So, as expected, the DNA, because of N15, it was a heavy DNA. And when they extracted the DNA from these E. coli bacteria, and they did something called a density centrifugation, they found that this DNA was a heavy DNA, and it is seen here at the bottom of the test tube. So this is when they grew E. coli for 20 minutes in N15 medium. After 20 minutes, what they did was they transferred the same E. coli bacteria into another nutrient medium, this time containing nitrogen 14 or the lighter isotope. So, when the bacteria were allowed to grow here, and the DNA were extracted and density centrifugation done, it was seen that the DNA was no longer heavy DNA, but it was a hybrid DNA with intermediate weight. Then again, for another 20 minutes, when these bacteria were allowed to grow in N14 and the DNA extracted and checked using density centrifugation, it was seen that the DNA obtained this time was hybrid DNA and light DNA. So, what did their results prove? The Messelson and Stahl results prove that DNA replication is indeed semi conservative, as you can see here. It is because the parental DNA, okay, it serves as template strands for the synthesis of new daughter DNA, which were being synthesized with N14. These results were obtained. So, this was a proof to semi conservative replication. Students, for you, this figure 6.6 Watson and Crick model for semi-conservative replication is important. You have to learn to draw it because it has appeared in many previous board examination question papers. Okay, now let's go into the process of replication. What are the points to note here? So the first thing to note is which is the enzyme that helps in replication. It is DNA polymerase enzyme. In your books, it is also referred to as DNA dependent DNA polymerase because it requires a DNA template to make a DNA strand. It can polymerize only in the 5' to 3' direction. So please remember this. It polymerizes only in 5' to 3' direction, as you can see here. Here again, 5' to 3' direction. Replication is initiated at the origin of replication. So what is origin replication? It is where replication starts. What serve as the substrates for replication? Deoxyribonucleoside triphosphate. They serve as the substrate and they also provide the energy for the replication reaction. A replication basically is polymerization because what you're doing is you're making a DNA polymer. The other important points are replication fork. So, what is a replication fork? When this DNA helix it unwinds and it opens out, you can see it forms a y-shaped structure which we call as a replication fork. And as I already told you before, the point where replication starts is called as origin of replication. Now this is important to note that on one strand, as you can see here, replication is taking place in a continuous manner. So this strand is being synthesized in a continuous fashion. This strand is called as the leading strand and the template is called as the leading template. Whereas on the other strand, it is in a discontinuous fashion. That means it is in the form of short fragments. So it is called as the lagging strand and the template is called as the lagging template. So same thing can be seen here. So you have the lagging strand and the lagging template. And on the lagging strand or the lagging template, you can see these fragments are being synthesized, not one continuous DNA strand. So these fragments have been termed as Okazaki fragments. The fragments are later joined and made into one by the DNA ligase enzyme. Also to note are these pink structures here. These are short stretches of RNA. So for DNA polymerization to take place, okay, DNA replication to take place, you need RNA primers to start the process. So these are the RNA primers which are later removed. Also keep in mind that replication in eukaryotic cells takes place during the S phase of the cell cycle. Okay, so with this we come to the end of replication of DNA. Any questions, please send it to me through WhatsApp.